It looks like there's more moves being made by Todd Monken and the Cleveland Browns. These could have effects on Shedeur Sanders as well. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. We got to get right into things, man. Todd Monken not playing games. Major culture shift happening in Cleveland. Major culture shift, and it's much needed.
Did a full expose with the Baltimore Sun, and there were some fun Todd Monken-esque quotes in them.
No mention. The moment Todd Monken took over in Cleveland, something shifted. Not just the playbook, not just the roster, the entire culture. And if you think that doesn't directly affect Shedeur Sanders, you haven't been paying attention. Because what's happening in Cleveland right now might be the thing that either makes Shedeur Sanders a franchise quarterback or exposes every doubt people have ever had about him. Let's go back to the beginning, because to understand what this moment means, you have to understand what Shedeur Sanders has been carrying since before he ever threw his first NFL pass. His last name is both his greatest advantage and his heaviest burden. Deion Sanders didn't just raise a son, he raised a quarterback under the spotlight that most kids never experience in their entire careers. Every rep in college was analyzed. Every throw was picked apart. Every win was questioned. Was it him or was it the system? Was it his talent or was it his father pulling strings behind the scenes?
Some of the quotes coming out, he's saying, I'm very difficult when somebody says, maybe you're brash or you can be hard, whether it's coaches or players, it's a hard business. And he also talked about him thinking he's authentic, but that maybe some coaches or players or whatever don't like that approach. I hate, absolutely hate, with authority, with a passion, when people say old school coaches don't work or
That's the kind of noise most prospects never have to deal with. Shedeur dealt with it every single day. And when the NFL draft came around, the questions got louder. People who had never met him decided who he was. Media personalities built entire arguments around why he wouldn't succeed. Not based on film, based on assumptions, based on who his father is, based on a narrative that was easier to sell than the truth. The truth is more complicated because when you actually watch Shedeur Sanders play football, you see something real. The pocket presence, the anticipation, the ability to go through progressions under pressure and deliver the ball on time. These aren't things you can fake. These aren't things you get handed to you because of your last name. But here's the thing about the NFL. It doesn't care about what you did in college. It doesn't care about your highlights or your pedigree or how many ESPN segments were done about your family. The moment you walk into that building, you're starting over, and not everyone survives that reset. Which brings us back to Cleveland and Todd Monken.
Johnny B, that whole thing was a mess.
But like, I don't look at Todd Monken and think, okay, this is a 60-year-old guy. If they start the season 1-8, I don't think he's going to change with that. I think one of the benefits of hiring a guy that's 60 years old, that has been through a myriad of different, in college, in the pros, as a coordinator, positional coach, who's been fired before.
Monken is not a soft man. He's not the kind of coach who's going to put his arm around you and tell you everything is going to be okay when it's not. The quotes coming out of Cleveland right now paint a picture of a guy who is demanding, blunt, and completely unapologetic about it. He said openly that he can be hard on coaches and players alike. He believes in his approach. He's not going to change who he is to make anyone comfortable. And you know what? That's exactly what Shedeur Sanders needs. Because the worst thing that could happen to a young quarterback with something to prove is a head coach who sugarcoats everything, a coach who tells him he's doing great when he's not, a coach who protects him from the truth to avoid conflict. That's how quarterbacks develop bad habits. That's how they develop blind spots. That's how careers quietly fall apart before anyone realizes what happened. Monken doesn't operate that way. The culture shift happening in Cleveland right now is about accountability. It's about authenticity. And whether you love that or hate it, those two things are exactly what builds championship-level quarterbacks. Think about what authenticity actually means in a locker room. Players know. They always know.
Robert Saleh, go to the Jets. Okay. Oh, thank God that Aaron Rodgers. That was the whole Hard Knocks season. Was how happy that they had Aaron Rodgers there, and their season. Once Aaron got hurt, the season fell apart. Well, yeah, you never built a team. It was all about Aaron Rodgers. Conversely, that same year here in Cleveland, the Browns went through 5 different quarterbacks. Kevin Stefanski that year actually built a team. And so they were able to overcome all that adversity. And so you're right. I mean,
they can feel when a coach is performing for the cameras versus when a coach actually means what he says. You can't fake that energy. You can't manufacture genuine belief. And the moment players sense that a coach is putting on a show, the trust evaporates. Kevin Stefanski found that out the hard way, a guy who, by all accounts, was funny, personable, and sharp in private, but the moment he stepped in front of a camera or into a tense locker room moment, something changed. Players noticed, the cameras noticed, and eventually the front office noticed. Monken is the opposite of that. What you see is what you get, and for a young quarterback trying to figure out who he is at this level, having that kind of stability and realness in your head coach is invaluable. But let's not pretend the road ahead is smooth, because it's not. The Browns have real questions at every level of this roster. They are not a finished product. They are not a team on the edge of a Super Bowl run. They are a team in transition. And that means Shedeur Sanders, if he wins the starting job, is going to take hits. Not just physical hits, mental ones. The kind that come when you're a rookie quarterback on a young team that's still finding its identity, and the losses start piling up, and the media starts writing the obituaries before the season is even halfway done. This is where it gets real. This is where we find out what Shedeur Sanders is actually made of. Because talent gets you to the NFL. Character keeps you there.
But then you get him in front of cameras and microphones, and it puts everyone to sleep, and he doesn't tell you anything, and he doesn't open up, and he doesn't let you in. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that Kevin made when he was here, because he wasn't a dummy. Did he? No. Do I agree with everything he did as head coach? No. Do I think he deserved to be fired? Yes. But at the same time, I think that if Kevin was more authentic publicly, I mean, go back to the clip. Remember?
Well, but even
remember
what you're saying,
room?
real quick,
And here's what people keep glossing over when they talk about Shedeur Sanders. The kid has been tested, not in the way that the critics want to believe, not tested by failure or embarrassment or being exposed as a fraud. Tested in a different way, the kind of testing that comes from living your entire life under a microscope, from having every flaw amplified and every success minimized, from building real football skills while constantly having to fight the narrative that you didn't earn what you have. That is its own kind of pressure, and most people crumble under it. Shedeur hasn't. If you're watching this and you've been sleeping on what Shedeur Sanders can become, now's the time to pay attention, because the pieces are starting to align in a way that could change everything we thought we knew about his trajectory. And if you want to keep following this story as it unfolds, because it is only getting more interesting from here, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell, because when this thing starts moving, you don't want to be the last to know. Back to Cleveland, because Monken isn't just changing the culture in terms of personality and toughness, he's changing the way this offense is going to operate, and that matters specifically for Shedeur because of the type of quarterback he is. Shedeur is not a run-first guy. He's not going to bail on a play and take off with his legs as the first option. He processes information. He reads defenses. He's a pocket passer in a league that has spent the last decade telling everyone that pocket passers are dinosaurs. And every time a mobile quarterback wins a Super Bowl, that narrative gets louder. But here's the counterpoint that never gets enough attention. Patrick Mahomes can run, but what makes him elite is what he does from the pocket. Jalen Hurts made the Eagles a dynasty, but their offense was built around structure and intelligent decision-making, not just scrambles. The idea that a quarterback has to be a running threat to survive in the modern NFL is lazy thinking. What a quarterback actually has to be is accurate, smart, and mentally tough. Two of those three things Shedeur has already demonstrated at a high level. The third one, mental toughness, is about to be tested like never before. And Todd Monken is going to push him. He's not going to let Shedeur hide behind comfort or routine. He's going to demand more. He's going to demand accountability. He's going to demand that the man in the huddle earns the respect of every player in that locker room through work, not words. That's the opportunity. That's the door that just opened in Cleveland. The critics are still out there. They haven't gone anywhere. There are people who have already decided this doesn't work, who have already written the conclusion before the story even starts, who see the name Sanders and stop reading.
But sports doesn't care about predetermined conclusions. Sports has a way of humbling the loudest voices in the room. And right now, quietly, in Cleveland, something is building. A new coach with a chip on his shoulder, a young quarterback with everything to prove, a fan base that has been through enough heartbreak to fill a decade's worth of documentaries, but still shows up every single season because that's what Cleveland does. This isn't just about football. It never really is. It's about belief. It's about what happens when you take the pressure that was supposed to break you and turn it into something else entirely. Shedeur Sanders hasn't had his NFL moment yet. The story hasn't been written. The chapter is blank. And with Todd Monken building something real in Cleveland, something authentic, something demanding, something that doesn't tolerate excuses or poor performance, the environment is finally starting to match what this kid has been preparing for his entire life. Whether he seizes it is up to him, but for the first time since he entered the league, the conditions are right. The stage is set, and the people who doubted him loudest are going to have to watch very carefully, because this thing is just getting started. Claude Fable 5 is currently unavailable.